Data analytics gives you the advantage of getting to answer questions in a faster time. In esports, you have a topic where all those technologies can be applied with an actual great purpose.
Fnatic versus Liquid are about to go head-to-head. My name is Rich. I'm going to be your host, and I'm joined on the desk by Gods and Black. And we started to talk about these two squads before we went to the break. Now we're going to take a deeper look at everything that they've done so far in this tournament to even get to this moment and talk about how they actually match up. So let's start by talking about the road that Liquid did take. Liquid's kind of been this interesting team because of the fact that Shadow has been playing with them throughout the entire tournament. Yeah,
the stand-in for Miracle. It's been, I think, a initially rocky road for Liquid. Took them a little bit of adjusting. Even in their group stage, they did go through with that first seed, but it didn't look all that convincing for them. It took some time to adjust to playing around Shadow, but it's gotten better every single day.
We've seen the communications, like whether it's we actually go to the player cams and we see, whether you saw the GIF on Twitter, and then we've actually heard in some of the interviews as well what it's actually like, the words that they are actually using. You've played on a bunch of different teams. What is it like to be in a scenario like this?
I mean, I played in a Chinese team without speaking like fluent Chinese. I know how it is. You just like try to say the very simple words, and you know, like the necessities, like the basic necessities. Obviously, I don't think they should go too much further. Like, if you ever want to have a chance of winning a major, I don't think you can lose to a Liquid with a standard.
And you see Fnatic, after they go against Liquid, are going to be going against another terrifying team in LGD. eHome versus EG, this matchup's already been set up, but now you're getting a pretty decent look at the lower bracket here. We wanted to mention how these teams actually did make it here. You look at Fnatic dropping down against J-Storm after those best of ones already happened. J-Storm able to win that best of one, getting somewhat of an upset over Forward. And if you look at that round at all, it is pretty much upsetville. We saw upset after upset coming in, and then we course correct a little bit later in the bracket, start seeing more of the favorites coming in, and now it's getting down to the wire. Liquid, though, what was their road actually like? We can see them beating TNC, but what did the entirety of the tournament look like? We talk about how they're getting better with Shadow, but where's the actual proof that maybe that communication is coming online?
The wall they hit was Secret. They got 2-0 stopped by Secret. Well, it was one of the game was kind of close, but yeah, it was more or less a stomp in the end. That's Secret, though. I think Secret VP are just on another level to every other team, maybe LGD as well. You could put in that category. But I think for Liquid, they probably go into this series feeling pretty confident because Fnatic themselves have looked good but not great. They got 2-1 by eHome in the upper bracket. The series, I think Fnatic would have felt like they should have maybe won. So.
Well, Fnatic, on the other hand, when we talk about this squad, they're not going to have a stand-in. Obviously, something that's very important. What hurdles have they been trying to get over, Black?
It's just stability. Last event, it was the same thing. Very high hopes, but they had like a lot of individual misplays. And then again, in the upper bracket against eHome, people probably didn't think that eHome would take the series, but they ended up taking it anyway over a heavily favored Fnatic, I would say. And it's just all about stability for them. If they can make it work, up to them. It's kind of like a VG in a sense that they're very emotional, and their mentality plays the biggest part in the defeats and victories alike, I think.
And the other thing that we talked about with both of these teams is that we know that they have the potential to do it. But let's see if Fnatic's feeling confident in actually accomplishing this at the tournament.
Hi guys, I'm here with Jebs from Fnatic.
Hello.
So, are you satisfied with your performance in the group stage and playoff?
I wouldn't say it's great, but I think I'm okay with it. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. Which problems did you face during that time?
I feel like we can still improve, like the game against eHome. I think if we play better, we wouldn't have lost that game.
Which mistakes can you remember from that game? What went wrong?
Something about like early game, and yeah, it's starting from laning and it's continuing after that.
So we have some time before the main stage. What can you improve during that time, and what should you do to improve that?
I mean, we try to watch the replay together and like try to learn from our mistakes, so we make sure we're not gonna make it again. Yeah.
Who is your biggest rival from all the teams who will play main stage?
What's rival mean?
Like the strongest opponent for you, maybe the principal one.
I think it's VP. Like, I think we can fight any team, but maybe if we fight against VP, we may have some trouble.
Do you feel confident? Do you and your team feel confident before the big stadium, a lot of people watching? Do you have any nerves because of that?
I don't think we have nerves. Like, we're just gonna play normal, and if we lose, then I guess we lose.
So I wish you good luck, guys. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely hearing a little bit that not super upset with the performance that they've had. And when you look here, you do understand why they can feel somewhat confident. They already were able to go toe-to-toe with EG, which we know is a matchup that they may face again. Yes, J-Storm and Alliance were teams that didn't necessarily put up the strongest fight here at the CQ Major. But eHome, this is something that they do need to potentially be thinking about, right? They won one of the teams that they could run into if they have a good run. They beat one of them. So that is something to keep in mind. Pretty decent win rate here. Is there anything stylistically, Gods, that we should note about Fnatic?
They're kind of unusual because they're one of the teams that plays more around their offlaner than their carry player. I think mostly on this patch we're seeing teams build around, you know, their paparazzi, their Arteezy. With Fnatic, MP plays second, third fiddle to the other two cores. Ice on the offlane is often the guy they look to take a lot of farm, be a big playmaker for them, and the same for maybe more so Abed. He's kind of the carry of the team. So MP's playing heroes like Void, like Timbersaw, who aren't there to carry the game for them.
Right, so when we do look at Fnatic, we're starting to think, okay, how are they actually going to match up against the squad on Liquid? How does that playstyle go into someone like Liquid, especially when you take into account that they have been picking very much around, as much as we're saying, okay, Fnatic may pick around that off lane, we have seen Liquid say, okay, we're going to pick around our stand-in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously if Liquid was here, I think I would just say they have the exact same playstyle, almost.
If their full team was here.
If their full team was here, yeah. Because they also have Miracle most of the time in the mid lane, but it's actually the real carry. And then the Matumba usually just plays like the position 2, sometimes 3 of the team, even, and Mind Control gets more attention.
Matu's similar to MP. I'd say he's like an MP upgrade. Like MP definitely has been the weak link in Fnatic from time to time.
Yeah, Matu is, at least what results showed, is like, you know, just a little bit above MP.
Well, Nahaz and Lacoste were like freaking out at MP yesterday, right? It was after you guys left, but they were actually criticizing some things that they saw with the Void, with the Faceless Void.
I mean, a lot of people call him the weakling of the team, and I don't know if I agree or disagree yet.
It's his role. Like he's playing this role that's not going to be glamorous. It's like the role that No-Tail used to play with OG, that Fear played with EG when he was the carry, where you're kind of sacrificed. And I think you hear the word carry play and you're expecting big, flashy things, tons of farm. You're the guy carrying the game with all the net worth. But some teams say you're going to be playing the quote-unquote carry, but not actually carrying the game. And that's what Fnatic do.
So how do you think that actually works in this meta? Do you think that that is something that is currently strong? We talk about how a lot of these games have been decided much more in the earlier portions of the game. What we saw with EG seems uncharacteristic of this tournament, playing for such a late game. Do you think that having that play style that Fnatic has employed time and time again is good on this patch?
I think it can be very, very viable, because you have a lot of ODs middle now, you have a lot of Medusas, even Timbersaws that can take games over. I think having your real core mid lane is definitely a possibility to win.
It hurts you with some heroes. Like Fnatic are not going to look good if they're playing with Terrorblade, for example. Like some of those hard carries in the safe lane, anti-mates. Like that's a strat you stay away from. And if you're versing Fnatic, you know they're probably not going to pick TB anti-mates. Maybe they do, but if they do, you feel very confident because that means Fnatic's going outside their comfort zone.
Unless they run a mid on Abed. Abed ran a lot of anti-mates against Dusas.
Yeah, he played that against Alliance.
But it will only be him playing it. Like MP would never. I mean, they have played it in the past, but not recently, because they also realize it's not their strength. So it will always be Abed playing these really hard farmers.
Okay, so they definitely know what their strengths aren't. Let's try to figure out what Liquid's strengths are. We haven't talked as much about Liquid. So where does this team currently thrive without their main player here in Miracle?
For me, it's still a big question mark. They're still drafting like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
It doesn't really seem like they found their like super comfort zone yet with the draft, with Shadow in the lineup.
And the way we're talking about MPs, maybe more limited hero pool because of his style. I think Matu, as a mid laner now, has a limited hero pool. He's not playing your typical mids. He's not going to pull out an OD and Invoker, heroes you used to have to fear if you're versing Liquid. He's playing You know, Viper, he's playing Monkey King. His Monkey King's been amazing, but it's a very different hero pool that you can prepare for.
Yeah, Venomancer, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, and Liquid, we have seen time and time again that they are trying to play around what they do have. And every time that we've gotten to hear from them, we're hearing about communication. We're hearing about how they're actually looking at these bans. And we need to hear more. Let's sit down for a second with Liquid.
Hi everyone, we're here at the Chongqing Major. I'm joined by Matumba Man. Matumba Man, main event. It's been a kind of an odd event for you. How's it been? For me, it feels like you've gone from like being nervous and you kind of enjoyed yourselves in the last match. Is that true?
I mean, it's been exciting. We have a standing and we almost actually needed a stand-in for our stand-in since he got sick, and it's been a rough one. Some unfortunate events for us, and obviously the more games we get in, the better we play, since we just like 30 minutes before we boarded our plane to China, we heard Miracle is unfortunately couldn't come here. And you know, then we were figuring out the stand-ins while we were flying on the plane already, and like it's been, didn't have any games with Shadow prior to the event, and the more games we get in, obviously I feel like we get better, so.
The last game you played was TNC, I think, right? Yeah. And you seemed to be having a good time in that game. It seemed like you were a little more relaxed.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was just enjoying myself. Honestly, can't take this tournament too seriously for us since we're playing with a standard, but of course we're trying to win. But, you know, it's important to have fun too, so.
I think you had fun in it. Was it Tidehunter, right?
Yeah, it was Tidehunter.
Because that looked like fun, like plus 250 damage. Was that like the most fun you've had at the tournament?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I was happy I got to play Tidehunter core since the last tournament is pretty OP. So, I mean, the anchor smash is always fun. One moment I had in the game, I just anchor smashed the Lich from full HP to 0. So it was pretty fun.
I was actually in production at that time, and all the Chinese people went, "Whoa!" and then they all said, So yeah, so you said you have like it's difficult to take it super seriously, but where are you hoping to finish at this tournament? Or
I mean, obviously we're looking for a high finish, even though we have a standing. I mean, we have pretty strong core of 4 players from Liquid, so I mean, but at the same time we don't want to put too much pressure on ourselves, since it's like it's not the most optimal situation for us, obviously, and we don't want to stress it too much. You know, it's like, but we'll try to do our best.
Well, thank you very much for the interview. Best luck.
0 games with Shadow before they actually get to the tournament. I actually didn't know that they didn't even get any in before the tournament, and you can hear quite a bit how, you know, you can't put the pressure on us. But I do want to jump back to when we watched them for the first time, all the way back in groups, before we actually watched them. Black, you said you look at Liquid, and you look at all the pieces, and you can take any piece out, and you actually said that I could play on the team. And that was the first day. You didn't know me at all. And maybe that actually played to my benefit. But you said anybody could sit down with Liquid with 4 of their players and would be able to pull down wins. Do you still feel that way? Do you feel like this is a team that can go the distance just based off of the strength of 4 of their players?
I mean, at this point, not anymore. As I said before, I think the teams that played there were considered to be kind of the weaker teams of the tournament. And, you know, if you have 4 Liquid players, they know exactly what to do, and they kind of stomped through the first series, but then the second one was really tough already. I think it was against, who was that?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, too. The earlier, in group play, that was pretty much when they were doing things like having the Magnus and doing different things like that. Where it was just like
they almost lost to Pengo. It was a they were down Mega Creeps in game 3, but then they 2-0'd Vici Gaming. So they very quickly adjusted to playing around Shadow. It was just their opening series of the day, which, you know, they say they hadn't played a game with Shadow, so.
And it was super shaky, but, you know.
And they were also picking like the most simple, easy to execute thing, the Mag PA, I think, as well back then, so.
But even when we saw like IO Gyro, there were some obvious, and that went well, right? But there were some obvious moments where you're like, okay, they're struggling a little bit to know exactly what to do.
Yep, and we're going to probably keep seeing that, where there's going to be moments where they're just not on the same page. There's a bit of miscommunication, but because they're Liquid, they can, you know, course correct. They may mess up one fight, but they put themselves in a position to win these games that even if they flub up a little bit, they can still get these wins.
Overall course correction as well, though, too, because at the beginning of the tournament, when we saw stuff like Mag PA, where you're like, yeah, press and power, have fun. You know what I mean? It seems like these simpler strategies, but they tried to jam them very hard. Even when it wasn't ideal in the draft, it seemed very forced. It seemed very much like they were playing around the fact that they had to stand in too much. And we saw sometimes where we were like, do we want to see them go completely all the way? Just pretend that Shadow is Miracle. And it was like, no, we want to get somewhere in the middle. And it does feel now like they have found that middle ground.
Yeah, it has. We have yet to see how good it actually is. TNC obviously here with the stand-in too, so can't really take too much from that series. And I personally feel, as I said before, if you're Fnatic, you actually want to have a shot at winning a major or going far at TI, you cannot afford to lose to Liquid that is not at full power. So Fnatic losing here is a really big upset for me if it happens.
Oh, you really? So you think that Fnatic, you favor Fnatic in this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you agree here, Gods?
I think it's more 50-50 to me, at least. I mean, I agree with Black. Like, for Fnatic, this is the kind of series you want to win. Even if you can get to TI, because they got top 8 of the last major, they're top 8 here. They could probably get top 8 at most of the majors and squeak into TI, but you don't want to just be a team that squeaks in TI. You want to be a team that's getting, you know, placing well at TI, and you've got to be able to beat a Liquid team with a stand-in.
And that starts here. Obviously, we know that the stand-in is in play, but these teams are getting ready. Fnatic versus Liquid. They're about to take this stage. You hear it from our analysts, a little bit of a split. They're not 100% sure who is going to take it. We've seen Liquid adapt more and more with Shadow, getting a feel for him, changing the strategies as well. But Fnatic, it seems like their opportunity to make a deeper run in the lower portion of the bracket, but we don't have to wait very much longer. We are going to find out now who is going to take this elimination series, who is going to go home, and who is going to get that much closer to grabbing the $1 million and the majority of the DPC points. Taking the stage right now is Fnatic and Liquid.
Please welcome on stage Fnatic. Please welcome on stage Team Liquid.
And 1 TI.
You have to imagine Shadow 2 now, being one of the stand-ins for this team, is going to be feeling that home field advantage right now. That's something that we haven't even thought of, but now that we're actually here at the main event, we're going to have to see if that comes into effect, if he's even higher power level today than he was before.
And unlike eHome, Vici Gaming, LGD, there's no pressure on him to perform. You know, this is a Liquid team with a stand-in. He's just coming in here. Matthew said it. We're here. We're having fun. You can't put too much pressure on yourself when you're playing with a stand-in. I don't think Shadow feels like, you know, he has to suddenly do amazing and win this for, you know, the home country. He's just feeling good. Playing Dota.
You really feel that way? Because he said, after this, I'm going back to Tier 1 Dota. Or like, I'm going to join a really strong team. If he doesn't perform well here...
He's already performed well, Black.
No, he has not.
He's in the top 8 as a stand-in.
No, he played, but that's not individual performance. Like,
Absolutely.
His individual performance was quite shaky.
He's played totally fine. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, let's actually get into this because it is very important to talk about. I think when you hear a player go, you know what, I'm coming back, that probably means he's having a good time. He feels pretty confident, and that was a little bit earlier in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely needs to show much more to impress me because so far he played okay, but not like super great.
Well, this is Lil Bigot too, so.
I'm Little Bigot. I have very high expectations.
Yeah,
and obviously, he was the recommendation of Burning. So Burning only recommends the best stuff, you know. So he has to show he's the best stuff.
So you're not disappointed as much as you just want to see the absolute best Dota ever out of this guy.
Exactly. I mean, Shadow has proved before he's a beast.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I just hope he wasn't lazy or anything, you know. I just want to see the old Shadow back with full power, and I hope I won't be disappointed.
Well, I don't feel like he seemed late, right? I think
he's not played poorly. He's gotten better every game. The first few games were shaky, but I attribute that way more to the communication issues than like him individually being poor by any means.
Zero games played is what they said in the interview before they got to the tournament. So what could you really expect? Even if Shadow plays out of his friggin' dome, how good is it going to look on some of those scenarios where you need to have that tight communication?
I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that I'm expecting him to like blow teams out by himself, you know, but like his individual performance, I think for me at least, was average at best. Like he didn't stand out in any game really. Like he never really carried the team to like a super high extent. It was usually just him playing off the team. And I would just like him to, you know, just dominate a game. Show me you can still do it.
But is that the best way to do it, right? Do you want to see, when their communication isn't strong, 4 players playing around Shadow or Shadow playing around 4 players?
I mean, I've seen his TB. He was super farmed on TB, and he did not actively take over the game. That's what disappointed me a bit.
If they pretend he's like Arteezy, you know, like with EG style, where it's like, let's just go late game, let's go carry us, that's not going to work for Liquid.
Obviously not.
They need to play a faster
not.
tempo. They need to, you know, play this game where Matu's having a good game, where play around mind control. They can't just center their entire game around Shadow.
And you also can see from Liquid just how intelligent of a team they are. Even when it doesn't look great, their strategy just makes so much sense. It goes, okay, 0 games, we're going to do with something that ease of execution is incredibly high. That seems like a high percentage play. And the entire time they don't go, okay, the ease of execution strat that is super easy, just jam and go, isn't working for us. They don't go, oh no, we should be scared to try anything else. We should stay with the easy thing. They take the hard choice and they go, we should probably try something that makes a little bit more sense in the current meta. They go for it. They find exactly where their footing should be. At this point in the tournament, I think you have to say Liquid looks even more scary, Black, than when you said, okay, I can take any 4 players on Liquid and I can jam anyone in there.
Oh, for sure. But it was like, as I said, at the very beginning, when they played like somewhat weaker opponents and had like very one-sided games. But now, of course, you need someone like Shadow who can actually perform. And
those one-sided games where they went down Mega Creeps, Black, is those one-sided games?
I mean, that was
one-sided?
I mean, that was like
being down Mega Creeps?
That was a terrible game, though.
Going to game 3 against Nopengo, one-sided? Would you like to?
What do you mean? No, the first
You're
game
retelling
was
history. They were not one-sided
well,
games.
the first game was super one-sided. That's when I said my comment.
Okay.
So I do want to say, very first day, Black sat on this desk and he said, I am never wrong.
Yeah, I'm never wrong.
I'm always right.
He's putting words in my mouth.
But no, now I'm learning how he does it. He just completely rewrites facts, rewrites history.
All right. You already got rid of your beard. Do you want to get rid of more?
Okay.
Because
also,
we can re-roll the tape.
Full disclosure, with the beard needing to get shaved off, I factually was correct. But you were also correct.
Yeah, which means I won the bet because you said I'm wrong.
All right. Well,
so we re-rolled the tape to the first day.
That's how you're right.
And then shave something else off.
Okay, Black. I'm not shaving anything for you ever again. All right, here's the man that has sparked the controversy on this desk, Shadow.
The man with a plan. Okay, no, seriously though. If you're Shadow, right, your plan to come back into the game, you are not going to be satisfied with anything.
You know, if I sat down right now as Shadow, I'd probably understand less than he understands in mid-game.
Obviously, I'm just saying, like, if you were like the best ones, you want to come back, you're not going to be satisfied with anything other than being the best.
I think that Shadow, and now this is obviously, now we're taking the role of analytical psychologist, but I'm going to say right now, when you see a tweet going, oh, I'm going to come back after your first event, I think that usually, like first event back, that usually seems like you are kind of happy, right? I take that as he's very happy to be in the seat. He's happy with his performance, and he just wants to keep getting better. Gods, would you agree with that? I think that's a good sign.
He came into this tournament without, you know, having played much competitive Dota in a while. He played on like a few tier 2, tier 3 Chinese squads for small periods of time, and you know, he went in. He's like, Liquid. I think he found out like 24 hours or 48 hours before the tournament began that he's even playing, and he's just expected to suddenly be in peak Dota performance when everyone else at this major has been practicing for like the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's so easy to look at someone who is a legend, right? Has won on the biggest stages and just say, oh yeah, no matter what, just get back on the bike.
Everyone else has been playing scrims for 2 weeks straight. He's been playing auto chess for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like a lot of the players have probably been doing the same.
That is not how you would make a comeback happen, though.
you get inside the practice room, and it's a bunch of PCs just running auto chess. It doesn't matter which practice room that you do go in.
I mean, the eliminated teams, they're all playing auto chess right now. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
So what are you doing? I'm playing auto chess for 8 hours.
Yeah. I was in a few of those practice rooms trying to play some auto chess myself last night, but that's definitely not what's going on here. As we do jump into the draft, we're going to have to see what Liquid does decide to do. We talk about how they have had an evolution in the way that they have drafted, and we're going to get to see if that is the case here again. I want to talk more about Fnatic, though. I feel like we have put so much of a focus onto Shadow, which makes a lot of sense. But with Fnatic, we haven't talked about them nearly as much, and how they directly do counter Liquid, how they try to counter Liquid. So many times on the opposite end, Black, we even talked about, yeah, maybe you just go for Shadow. Maybe you know that he is that crack in the armor, regardless of individual skill. Maybe you can find him out, and maybe you can really put the pressure there and see if the rest of the tower will fall. Do you think that that's the case here today?
I mean, you can definitely test him. Ice is a person that loves to bully the carry, so if they were gonna go with that plan, he's definitely the man to do it. And they have DJ Ice support, DJ Ice the duo. They can definitely put the hurt on Shadow if they want to do.
The other direction, you're sure Liquid has probably done a decent amount of homework on Fnatic at this point, had a little bit of time to get ready for this match. They had that break. We see Ice in quite a few games just get heroes that you don't want to see Ice on unless you're a fan. You don't want to be the opposite team going against them on that. Do you think that Liquid's going to give them an inch or a mile, anything in that direction, let Ice just wreak havoc?
Some heroes like his Timbersaw, where if he gets a good Timber game, yeah, he will take over. He loves to play that bully. His Tidehunter's been fantastic as well. That's another hero I think to look out for this series. And definitely a player who can just, take over this game. And that's what I think Fnatic are looking for. Let DJ play around him. Let both the supports, MP's that kind of sacrificial role that Fnatic can put him in. Let the other two cores go off.
I think about Ice's Timber and start to think about what you said, Black, and it seems like if he does get a tool like that, maybe he just goes straight for Shadow.
I don't know what their plan is coming to this game, but I just like, if you play against Ice, the reason why it's so, well, hello.
I could not tell for a second if those were feet or hands. I was very confused.
Both, hand feet.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's yeah, those are hand feet.
But like,
Thanks, Black.
Why it is so hard to play against Ice? Because first of all, he gets these super strong offlaners, Timber, Brewmaster, heroes like that, Underlord, and on top of that, he gets so much help.
Thank you for showing us that those weren't his feet and those were his hands. Sorry to cut you off, Black.
I mean, they know. They know it's on his feet.
It's a Dota stream. We're in like just chatting here now. There's some feet, guys.
We're just chatting.
You guys at home want to see some feet? You got some feet.
Oh man, you get ready for your first Dota event. You gotta practice. You have a lot to learn. There's a lot to prepare for. But I don't think I was prepared for you two on the panel. I don't think I was prepared at all. Some of these things you're throwing my way, I've never seen in all my years on this green planet.
Green. It's more blue.
Thanks, Black. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Speaking of blue and green, little Team Liquid right here. Some good blue and green jerseys.
Yeah.
What?
The green Monster Energy logo.
Green Monster logo. That's super
There's green on there.
It's like 1%.
Those are clearly blue and white, but okay. So you guys are a little bit more lenient if we do go for an all-green strat, it appears.
Yes.
Just call anything all green. But as you can see, they're getting ready for the draft, maybe taking a little bit of extra time to get this underway. This is the first day taking onto the stage. We want to make sure that the players are completely comfortable and ready to go in front of the crowd that has gathered here at the CQ Major. Have you guys gotten a chance to actually go out there during any of the games? We're kind of thrown in a closet. That's usually how it goes for analysts. They just throw you away, lock you away, and you don't often get to go out onto the stage. Do you get to peek at all and see the crowd?
I mean, not yet. I saw the stadium, but what's much more important after hearing these beeping sounds, I want some chicken McNuggets. It sounds kind of like, they're coming out of the, how's it called, fryer?
The deep fryer?
Yeah, like ding ding.
Dinner's
Here's
ready.
your order, sir. I've ordered.
I have ordered. Oh, I see what you did there. That took me a little while to understand you. As with most of the things you say, it takes me a few seconds to figure out what you're.
It's just because I'm like above, you know.
Yeah, you're so beyond human comprehension. You know everything. You know all the words in a book. You know so many. You have such a wide vocabulary.
Yeah.
And you're so insightful. And Black, I really do appreciate you. And I expect
you.
that after this and after I get fired, I expect we'll still remain close friends.
No problem. I'll keep you close by my side.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
You're welcome, sir.
If you ever go pro again, you need someone to clean your keyboard or something.
You could be my water boy.
I'm sure I'll be qualified. Yeah. I can help you out in drafts too. Be like, well, Nahaz actually just told me.
This is a good anti-mage game.
I will never say that after this tournament. I think that's the one thing that we've learned. I want to see some crazy AM games a little bit later on, but I don't think this is a case where we do see them, but we'll have to see how the draft actually does manifest itself.
We will see one more game where AM is going to completely destroy a game, for sure, in the rest of the tournament.
I wish I had another beard to bet you, but I do not. Alas.
Well, there's other stuff to bet.
Okay, you know what? I'll bet Lacoste's beard right now. If we see an AM absolutely destroy, we're shaving Lacoste's beard
I'll
off.
sign off on that on Lacoste's behalf.
Yeah, I'm sure Lacoste will as well. Like,
oh, Lacoste? Okay, sure. No, I cannot do that because he's obviously not a Dominic, and I'm a Dominic. We have like a friendship bond there, you know.
Okay.
I cannot just sever that.
I feel like you're making all these bets where other people lose things, but there's never any consequences if you lose.
But that's because I'm only taking bets where I'm 100% sure it will happen. Like, for example, the Brewmaster thing, I knew I was going to win. So, yeah, you bet whatever you want. I'll give you whatever you want, but it's not going to happen because I won.
Yeah, that is true, but the real question on all of our minds has nothing to do with Black, but it does have to do with winning. We want to see who is going to win this game, and we can start to see some of those initial bans coming out now. The players do have the draft underway. We're going to make sure that we can cover for you the best as possible. We know that's not on your screen right now. Oh, wow.
Now it is.
Movie magic. There we go.
Yep.
Scripted. Team Liquid going to be getting that first pick.
Tusk.
Yeah, it's like the 4-position pool. The Earth Spirit, ET, Tusk. It's like a smallish group of heroes, but Centaur also being banned a lot is...
I was going to say Centaur there.
Me too.
Believe it. Yeah, I mean, Centaur has been Fnatic's first 2 pick in every game it's available. Most teams are banning it against them, so Liquid let it through, snag it.
Now taking a look at Fnatic, what do you think we could see them grab as their first 2 here, taking a look at some of the bans?
It's going to be Tusk +1 most likely.
Yeah.
Maybe a Tusk Grimstroke. Was Grimstroke banned?
Or Lich even. Was Lich banned?
Lich was banned.
Lich was...
That chest hair, I love it. I have it too. It's my German brother.
Oh, okay. All right, so we can see they're taking their time here to actually figure that out.
Yeah.
Which is making Black say more and more ridiculous things. So, Fnatic, I'm going to ask you that you stop tapping into that reserve time.
Yeah, please, Fnatic. Give us something to talk about.
For the sake of me, Tiny.
Yeah, maybe they don't need the Tusk with the Tiny.
Shadow Shaman.
Does Shadow Shaman still have a 100% win rate?
No,
it finally lost.
Yeah,
so it is 7-1 at this point in the tournament.
Arrowblade. There we go. Take over the game.
Yeah.
This seems like a very strong opening from
Liquid. Going
Liquid.
to instantly ban some of the counters. Fnatic, one of the few teams who have successfully run Tinkers. Wouldn't be surprised to see even like an OD ban as well. I like this opening from Liquid a lot. It does reveal quite a lot because these are both core heroes most likely.
Yeah, but still a lot of leeway with the supports. Although there are not too many supports left if Tusk is being banned out now.
I have kind of a specific question for you guys right now. So when you do have the TB, can you ever get away with not banning the Tinker? I know that against Fnatic, from what you guys have said, they're a pretty strong team with the Tinker. But if you ever see that a team isn't as versed with that hero, can you leave that as not banned?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, most teams don't ban Tinker just because if you play Tinker, you need to be 100% specialist on the hero. And it's mostly only, honestly, at this tournament, like C players.
Yeah, it's very hit or miss, too. It's like your game becomes so volatile where if Tinker dies once, you can just lose the game. Whereas TB, you can lose like 2, 3, 4 fights with TB and still win the game.
Yeah. We've actually seen Fnatic lose with it against eHome in the upper bracket.
And that's a team that you said was specialized with it a little bit earlier on. Yeah. So that does show some of that volatility. Yeah. And TB, on the other hand, just to seem so stable, we have seen that first phased quite a bit here at the Major.
We'll see Kuro on one of those defensive heroes with the TB, whether that's Dazzle or Oracle. He plays a lot of Oracle.
Yep. I think Dazzle makes the most sense against like Tiny as well as Shadow Shaman. You have the Grave, very good lane support.
Very good lane support, you said?
Dazzle, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that the Tusk finally getting dealt with?
Brewmaster.
Oh, you actually can't even hear that, can you?
I cannot.
Yeah, wow, you said that at the exact same time. That's actually freaky.
We've watched and cast a lot of Dota games.
At the
and played.
exact same time, completely
Yeah.
synced. All right, so what do we think of the Brewmaster?
It looks good because it's flexible between Ice Ice Ice. MP also plays it, so they can run it safe lane. Matches up well against TB. You've got the ability to use the Dispel on his illusions. You've got Drunken Brawler as a way, just in a fight, if you're not in ulti form, to not instantly melt to the TB as well. So I like the hero quite a lot.
Rimstroke.
Okay.
I don't know if I liked it as much as a Dazzle.
Yeah.
Like Grimstroke is a strong 5, but the lane can just get overrun right now, I think.
Gives them
like
a silence for Brewmaster is, I think, the upsides of it.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, the pure defensive Dazzle Oracle are just purely defensive to save your TB, allow him to get Sunder off. This gives you, you know, offensive kill potential.
I wouldn't have liked the Oracle, just the Dazzle, because he gives you like offensive capabilities and defensive capabilities.
Yeah, you talk about the lane support that a Dazzle could have provided. When you look at the Grimstroke, do they have set up on their team right now that single target spell to work alongside Grimstroke, or is that something that they're going to need
Not
to
Sunder.
grab?
Don't go Sundering it.
Yeah. I mean, the double edge is quite good.
They also could be a 4-position Grimstroke. We've seen J Storm do that, and then you can still get
like every game, yeah.
One of those defensive supports.
Still possible.
Coming together on the side of
Double
Team
poison
Liquid.
touch.
What'd you say there, Black?
The double
Does
poison
it stack
touch.
with itself?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Okay.
2 stacks on everyone,
Sure.
straight off the bat. Not bad. But yeah, I think GH doesn't... Well, I said it and then there's Coddle, never mind. I was going to say he doesn't really enjoy these range supports, but he does. With the Centaur, it kind of allows you to do that too.
Kuro's been the one playing Grimstroke when they've been picking it so far.
Yeah. The reserve time is almost 0.
Yeah, they're gonna...
Necro.
Necro, that hero came out of nowhere. This has always been one of those heroes that was a TB counter just because you've got Ghost Shroud, you're not afraid of his physical damage.
But against Grimstroke?
It doesn't sound
You know, if you use your Shroud and he silences you, you can't even get rid of it.
Just don't use your Shroud.
Ever. I think this is a really weird pick. I mean, they're running out of bonus time too. Maybe they're kind of pressuring themselves into something here. I can't see right now why it would be super strong.
This is what got to be the first Necro of the tournament, I feel.
I mean, they want to land against the Centaur. It's quite obvious. But is a good laning phase going to mean much if you get countered?
I mean, it's good in lane against Centaur or TB. It's also been one of those heroes that MP, I think, does very well on. So looking like, what, MP, Necro, and then Ice 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 Brewmaster?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like a laning draft right now.
Yeah.
Also,
super strong lanes.
I'm going to say, when there was some criticism about MP, how important do you think it is for him to be comfortable? If this is a hero that he is more comfortable on, do you think that that is something that will play to Fnatic's favor?
Yeah, I think this is like, unlike maybe the Void, which he's looked good on. I think they're 3-0 with the Void. That hero doesn't necessarily counter the TB unless you have good damage to dish into the Chronosphere. So I think Necro, matchup-wise, is just better than some of the other heroes he plays against Terrorblade.
Okay.
I mean...
It also just may be a terrible hero, because no one's picking Necro for a reason.
I think he's still, like, playable. I played him a couple of times. Didn't look too terrible.
Okay.
But it's just like kind of... I'm still wondering why it fell out of the meta so much. Probably just because of the heroes that are being played right now.
It got a lot of nerfs, too.
It did, yeah. I mean, it got nerfed for like 3 patches straight or something. Oh, they do go for the Dazzle. Yeah.
They get to wait a little bit. They still grab that Dazzle. And is that lane support still something that you wanted in their lineup?
I think it's a mid-Dazzle,
Mid-Dazzle, yeah, I was wondering that, too.
Because Matu loves his mid-Dazzle.
So if you do have the mid-Dazzle, what's that going to provide to the team?
Well, just survivability, a lot of damage. We saw what Ori did. He just went for this Greaves build. You just have this permanent sustain, permanent heal. You go for Necronomicons. You have a strong pushing presence as well. It's just a very solid core.
Yep. Necro 3 can purge off the Ghost Shroud.
Yep.
Team Liquid's turn to ban.
Lots of options for Liquid here. They could just play it as a support 2 and pick something like a Monkey if they really want to.
And Fnatic was even considering Centaur as a 4 position because they banned Batrider last, which is kind of one of those heroes that causes Necro a lot of problems.
Yeah, it completely dumps us the hero.
I do need to ask, with what we're seeing coming together with Liquid, ease of execution right now before we see the 5th hero with Shadow, how easy do you think this lineup is to execute?
It's probably, if you look at the lineup, I mean, I don't know the last hero yet, but probably playing TB is the like easiest because you would get graved.
Yeah.
You would just get like the backline support.
You know, it's just like sit behind the TB and grave him if he's about to die so he can get Sunder off.
Yeah, very typical combo.
Centaur initiates for you. TB just bursts down whoever the Centaur's done. So I think it's pretty straightforward, ease of execution-wise. Fnatic's draft looks a bit more, you know, all over the place with how they take fights.
Fnatic's fight definitely looks a little cheeky. We'll get to that in a second, especially after we see this last ban and the final pick coming in for Fnatic. But I do want to say, if Team Liquid, with the 4 heroes that we see right now, you say the ease of execution is high as they do start to run into that reserve time here. I want to ask if it's going to fall apart. If it's going to fall apart with the incomplete information that we have right now, where does it fall apart? You said that the Centaur is going to initiate. Is that maybe where you don't instantly see that follow-up from the TB? Where can it all go wrong for Team Liquid?
Maybe in the lane stage more so, where early game they could get run over. You're looking at what Fnatic brings to the table hero-wise, very strong lane, and then also player skill-wise. They have a lineup of players that are just some of the best laning players in the game. Abed as a mid laner, Ice is one of those mechanically very gifted players as well, and the 2 supports are both former core players. DJ used to play mid and off lane. Jabs, when he burst on the scene, he was one of like the highest MMR players playing mid as well. So the individual talent is incredible on Fnatic, and that's where they can just crush the early game.
I mean, as a carry player, I would hate to play against this Fnatic lineup. It's like Darkseer.
Darkseer Centaur, okay.
The Darkseer is off lane, Centaur position 4. Grimstroke 5. Looks good on paper, but this TB is not going to have a fun game. Dazzle mid?
No, he will not. Does now, I guess, push the Necro against the Necro versus Darkseer is still fine. I don't think you want to try and send Necro versus TB because the Brew doesn't want that Darkseer matchup.
Yeah. I think they just want to have like a carry for MP. There's obviously no Tinker. There's Medusa still.
OD's there. OD versus Dazzle's great. There. Medusa, there we go. They're going to get the hard carry.
Yep.
Okay, so now that we've seen where all the chips have fallen, do you guys favor one team? Now that we have the 5th picks, have the tables shifted at all, and do you favor one over the other?
I like Fnatic just because they have so much anti-carry potential, and they're running a single core, like practically a single core. They have like a Dazzle Darkseer. You can provide support, but if your TB gets Necro ulti, you're in trouble.
Do you like the Necro now that we've seen this? Obviously, we're kind of sitting here like, okay, we get to see something kind of new in this game, and it's at the point where we're seeing all of the Dota that's getting played get kicked up to the next level. I can't even wait for the next series as well. But what do you think of the Necro?
Be fun to see something new come out here at the Major. It works this draft. So if the hero is still viable, I think Fnatic do have a bit of a draft edge here.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, it's either going to work or it's not going to work, and we're going to find out right now. The game is ready. We're going to jump down and see who's going to take this. Fnatic versus Liquid.
Thank you so much, Rich. And ladies and gentlemen, I am bubbling with anticipation. Liquid versus Fnatic. Fog, we're here in the arena.
Yeah.
How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great. I am excited for some more Medusa versus Terrorblade. This is what we get at the main event. Arc Warden versus Terrorblade. Medusa versus Terrorblade every game. But no, we got to support Centaur, and it's Kuroki playing it. It's actually not going to be GH.
I know, a little bit of a departure there.
Yeah.
But you were talking about loving this pick as soon as that draft was coming out. You're like, Darkseer, Centaur, cool combo. Talk to me about it a little bit and what you hope to see.
Well, I mean, I just hope to see, of course, the vacuum combos, but I think it's a lot about how they're going to be doing this lane, because now they're going to be able to put My Control if he wants to try to get like a 1v1 versus Ice versus the Brewmaster, and then they run an aggro tri-lane and secure the TB's farm, right? And Inkswell plus Centaur, you can put a lot of pressure on. I'm looking and wondering if Fnatic's lane can deal with it, and they do have some strength. I mean, it's Necrophos, hero we don't see too often, but versus this, versus that, like, just physical damage that can be coming out from TB could be strong, but there's a lot coming out from Centaur as well.
You can hear the crowd already very excited about this. When the intros are coming on, there's these booming speakers going out, and so much excitement.
I'm just looking at my screen. I'm actually locked on player perspective on the players. That's kind of interesting.
I think you need to disconnect and then reconnect.
That's okay.
All right.
The crowd is extremely excited, as they should be, though. This should be, I mean, this is a good matchup because it's Liquid, not at its full strength, and it's Fnatic who have been rising in strength.
Yeah, they have been looking definitely stronger. I would still say that, you know, Liquid, it's sort of a toss-up, right? Like Shadow from time to time is going to be, you know, having really good games, but we've also seen him really fumble. So I want to see if Liquid try and secure his early game just to the best of his ability and just make it as easy as they can for Mr. Shadow. And it does look like the movement down here it's just going to be a trade-off of runes most likely, as the Necro is back behind the tier 2 tower in this bottom lane, and I don't think MP wants to come out of there right now.
No, it's like we were talking about, right? It's going to be these tri-lanes, what we love so much. They're putting the Necro bottom alone, so they're going to be making sure that Ice gets farm on the Brew. In this game, the Brew is incredibly important. That's the thing. It's like he has to have a good game. He's really good. He's pretty much the counter for the TB, and he's also the way to kind of hunt the Dazzle in the backlines to make sure that this guy can't always get the Graves off, to make sure they don't get these Sunder plays.
Well, we'll watch for it, and man, Fnatic just all around this Darkseer here, and looks like they are going to try and put the pressure onto him, the full-on tri-lanes. We saw so much sacrificial off-laner play in the last game. I think that we were looking over, and you pointed out it's like the off-laners were the bottom 2 net worth like 6 minutes or something in the previous series.
I mean, it was pretty pretty comedic. We're all in the room together with like Boba and a bunch of the other like the coaches and stuff, and everyone's just looking. It's 1,000 net worth, 6 deaths between the both off-laners having 6 deaths by the 10-minute mark or so. Yeah.
Speaking of deaths, MP taking that Ghost Shroud early, but the punches are going to come fast and furious, and MP walking down, getting killed, and maybe even be able to turn this one back around, though. Kuro, they trade over the aggro to keep alive GH, and he's going underneath the tower.
He's salving.
All right, Kuro.
He's safe.
Easy peasy. The
they had to
gets
commit
out.
How much resources for that, though? The salve was used on GH and the salve on Kuroki, so it was expensive, but they got what they came for, and MP, he doesn't have TP available.
Oh, yeah,
he had to use it initially to TP to the tier 1 when they were making aggressive play on him.
And he sort of waffled in between going towards top lane, and now he's going to go back towards bottom. So it's a very long walk for this Necrophos. Pretty slow movement speed hero out the gate, as well as we see up in the top lane. Mind Control also just taking a beating.
He's going to have much more free time on a Darkseer, though. They're going to chase him around, and the one nice thing that they have is that they have a Shadow Shaman whose right clicks is 76 right click damage, so being able to just deny every single creep from those early levels of Ion Shells should be pretty easy.
Look at Ice just zoning Mind Control completely out of experience range as well, and now DJ, he's the real core in this lane.
Yeah, they do that all the time between the two of them, interchanging farms. It's a similar thing between like Fnatic and Secret, right? Like this DJ Yapzor and Ice Zai. Sometimes they sacrifice a bit of their farm for each other.
Definitely. And so Matumba Man in the mid lane is going to pull some of those creep waves up towards the north, find himself an Arcane Rune, and keep on spamming out those spells.
That's very nice. Low on mana. Did eat a couple of those snakes in the mid lane already. But they're already trying to set up for a kill here. We see GH is rotating toward the mid lane. If Abed steps too far up, he could be in a lot of trouble here as they're making the go.
Dangerous times. Inkswell moving forward as a Stroke of Fate afterwards. They try and salve up a little bit longer with that Mystic Snake, and it looks like that might be enough to keep him alive. The punches are there, though, and GH gets the kill.
Poison Touch. We see Liquid do this a lot with this Dazzle mid. They haven't done it much of this tournament, right? I don't think I actually saw them play it, but before this tournament, they were playing it all the time. Matumba Man with his Book 1 into Arcane Boots, into Mac, into Greaves. This game, there is a little bit of appeal, though, going for that Necro 3 versus the Necrophos, but I think he'll still just go for those auras, depending on what the Darkseer builds. That's all we got to see, how Mind Control's game progresses. If he has a good start, maybe they'll let him get the auras. If he's getting super shut down, they're going to have to let Matu do it.
Obviously, a pick that you felt like you really liked coming out of from Liquid as well. Nice combo against this Necrophos if he ever gets up to level 6. MP is having a very tough time of it. Kuro just punching away at him. But it's a good answer just to the Reaper Scythe with the Shallow Grave once you get up to those levels.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to late game. Well, if we get to late game, but Darkseer Wall plus Reflection. The Dusa, if there's going to be like 2 little illusion kind of things of a Dusa just killing people. So depending on how farm Fnatic gets on that Dusa, it could turn the tides both ways. There's a nice toss back there by Jabs.
Much needed. The story of the big tanky supports here with the Centaur and the Tiny, and Jabs making sure that he can protect his core as they try and get the pull off.
They're solidifying their farm much better on the side of Liquid right now. This Terrorblade is full free farm.
Definitely what you want to see. You are Team Liquid. And on the other side of it, Brewmaster, 16 denies ain't bad. That's pretty nice for the Brewmaster, as Kuro again going to move forward and just bully away Jabs here. So I'm sure that there was a deny exchanged and then they tip each other fine.
This tip is because, I'll say right after, but
good avalanche there. Hits onto both of them, and now MP in some trouble here. He's trying to stick around a little bit longer. DJ making the rotation, the hoof stomp, able to catch for the moment. Shadow going to start laying into all of these heroes, and if Fnatic aren't careful, they're going to lose several. Cheech able to walk away to the side. Jabs isn't going to be able to quite get the kill, and he keeps eating his way through the trees, living, and with the stick charges, they all go down.
All three, and in the meantime, mid lane, Matumba Man was extremely low on health, extremely low on mana, goes bottom, finds a regen rune. That's why they tipped each other, gave a little bit of a chuckle.
Well, all good things coming up with a 5-0 start for Liquid, and Mind Control dodges away from that avalanche, but can't quite seal the bounty rune. So it will be 2 apiece.
It's tri-lane though, just being able to secure the farm and put the pressure. That's the difference. The lane from the side of Fnatic, they would be able to, maybe, but it's a Darkseer. He can actually be pretty elusive, and he's constantly forcing the wave in. Sure, they have these crazy amount of denies, but that means they're not killing him. They're making sure to control the lane. And he's level 3. He's almost level 4 in the Darkseer. He doesn't have farm, but he's gotten levels.
And I mean, that's the thing, too, that's sort of strange about this situation is that if you end up going into the laning stage with your Necrophos so badly hampered, he could just be food. They have the type of heroes that can blow him up. We do see this rotation coming around from Jabs as he wants to set up a gank onto Matumba Man as we're waiting for the pause to come undone. But yeah, you can see gold breakdown right there. Terrorblade still leading the way, being a part of the kill there as well.
Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty concerned right now for Fnatic. They're going to have like their saving graces a bit coming out here from the Brewmaster. That's why they're making sure that they're giving him the good start. But you have to have like a really good game now on Ice 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 because, like you mentioned, I mean, MP level 2, absolutely no money whatsoever. 0-2, his score. And this is a hero that they wanted to lane versus like the Centaur kind of thing, right? They wanted to be able to put in that matchup. But when Liquid switches and makes the Centaur support, it completely changes the matchup that they wanted.
One of the reasons that so often those sort of flex picks have been so valuable in the past, and sometimes you run into a little bit of an awkward situation where a flex pick isn't actually that good in its flex position. Centaur really good, particularly we compare him later together with that Darkseer.
Yeah, and we saw him at like KL Major, right? We saw a lot of Force Centaur kind of on the rise, especially from I think TNC in particular, and that's in the similar region as Fnatic.
Potentially could have been wary or aware of it, as did have some readies come out, but it looks like they're still waiting to get started on this one. And, well, you know, at least from the get-go, it's a 5-0 score, about 1,000 gold lead 5 minutes in. But it doesn't feel like completely out of control how some of these have felt early on. If you're sort of like looking forward to the mid-game, Fnatic, are you that concerned about this sort of bad start?
It's really going to be a lot on Ice Ice Ice. He's their team fight in the majority of the team, and he's their frontliner as well. It's just this Necro really scares me. Darkseer can have his own pressure in the game. That's the thing, is they can kind of rally around him even if he doesn't have much farm, because he's a lot tankier and all that. Like Necro, you have to have items. You have to be having this good start. You're, like you said, you mentioned it yourself. You're food. Yeah. And they have heroes to deal with it, too. They have the Dazzlegrave, as you mentioned. They have this, I know Black mentioned it on the panel, too, is the Phantom. The Phantom is something that's super annoying to play as Necrophos, because, yeah, popping your Ghost Shroud is kind of a double-edged sword. You pop it, you can't kill the thing off of you, but at least you're immune to that physical damage when you are getting that little thing on top of you.
So the rotation out of there, looks like the Tiny was not able to find a gank, decides better, and Kuro runs into Jabs. Just going to give him one of those punches, and this movement from Liquid, are they trying to set up a gank themselves, I guess? And yeah, that ward's going to scout out any movement here.
They want to keep tabs on the jungle of the Medusa. They know that this is where she's going to be farming soon. Just get those deep wards down, watch the Ancients.
This is actually a really strong gank. Them Inkswell in with the hoof stomp if they're able to find it. Fnatic should know it's coming, though. We'll see if they decide to make that movement. Jabs runs into Kuro, and, well, I think that puts the kibosh on it.
Yeah, that's not who they want. Can they go for this top now, though, onto Mind Control?
Shackles able to catch Control for a long time. Mind Control surge away, ends up going down. DJ gets the kill.
They're starting to get their levels built up. Now they can threaten those kills onto the Darkseer unlike before. And almost Arcane Boots as well finished onto DJ.
What you want to see.
Up lane. They're going to have the Darkseer porting in. This Invis on Kuro might be able to find them a kill.
He just throws the Ion Shell on, and then the walk forward.
They're probably like, where'd that Ion Shell go?
This is the pub strat.
They'll notice it soon.
The hoof stomp, now the chase down. They want to find this kill here. On to Ice Ice Ice, moving away, but he will get hit there by the Ink Swell, and the chase forward, the slow burn with that double edge, and one more punch. Goes down.
Very fortunate Invis Rune, and it's also just a very fortunate early game for Liquid. Because they had this incredible start to shut down MP, yeah, they can just leave Shadow down here all the time and make moves.
Oh my god! MP needs to walk away very quickly. Ghost Shroud's wand, he's out of there. But this is that catapult wave.
Yep, 3 points in that meta, 60 bonus damage on top. Yeah, MP has to be so careful. Level 3 versus level 7.
Summoning a couple more illusions there, could walk back in. They're leaving him alone again against that Terrorblade as that's going to eat himself another one of those poison touches.
They're just scared because they don't want to go bottom. They want to be sure to try to match these movements of the supports of Liquid because they're really hurting the cores. Like, they get that kill on the Brewmaster. That was huge. Look how good Ice 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 is doing on the net worth.
He's definitely been able to catch back up a little bit, have himself a nice time, but really it's Shadow who's just chunking away at this tier 1 tower, already down to half HP. And with that Metamorphosis wearing off, it does look like the continued aggression's gone from it.
They're going to go for this tower. They're actually just cutting the wave. They've brought the 2 supports down. They want to take this out so that they have those easy access points into the jungle. They already had some wards down, but now with this tower dead, it's going to be way easier to try to pressure the Dusa if she's farming on the right side.
And MP's just going to TP out of there. While all this is happening, you still have Grimstroke that's sitting mid, soaking up experience, and making sure they can't get too much pressure onto that tower. 3,000 gold lead 8 minutes in.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, indeed.
They're going to keep the pressure on, so we're going to have to see. It's going to be a lot on it. Okay, let's see. Ice Ice Ice, he's got the Vlad's finished, so I think with jabs they can make some good combos come out, because they don't need a Blink Dagger if you have the Tiny. You can toss your Brewmaster in to make a lot of those initiations.
Well, we're going to pull back in here onto GH Thinks. Well, he's living for the moment, but will eventually be brought down there. And now the Poison Touch. Tumbaman just trying to keep him alive. Kuro finds the Hoof Stomp. They're in pretty deep here, and you know, with the bad Juju starting to build up, there's a chance that they could think about turning this. But really, it's just Fnatic that want to keep chasing forward. They get the catch here onto that Dazzle and Kuro. He is also going to fall. They can pull him back down with the Spell Magic, and now the Avalanche chasing forward. If they can kill off this Dazzle, no points in grave. This is huge for Fnatic.
Great moves there by Fnatic. I'm surprised that Kuroki actually finished that TP. They really wanted to make sure that they can defend this tier 1, but they lost their core. Just losing Kuro would have been okay, but then when they lose Matu, it's very painful. And the tower is taking heavy pressure. They're still going to rotate more to try to defend it as long as possible.
So much pressure onto keeping this tower alive, and it's going to all be for naught, it looks like, as GH, he gets ran at and just going to be brought down. Another kill. Kuro moves in. They use the glyph, but this tower is gone.
That swung the whole net worth. That just was pretty much a 3K or more swing just in that middle situation. Fnatic being prepared for the fight and Liquid not expecting those movements.
And feeling like they were strong enough to come and fight it because of that strong early game, but suddenly, as you said, it swings back the other direction. MP has been able to have this bottom lane pretty much to himself.
Yep. Getting some breathing room. Very costly mistakes for Liquid. A successful first Primal Split, and we see Abed continuing to stack up Ancients. Has a triple finished already, level 9 too for that max split shot.
As you were mentioning, it's Ice Ice Ice, the man that made that movement, and he was the one that needed to be strong. 10-minute mark. Does look like they were trading off a couple of his bounty runes, but now Fnatic, where do they want to go next? I guess play around the next Brew Split again?
More than likely, they do have Serpent Wards available too, though, so they could look to maybe set up for a tower, or maybe get, like, they have their defensive ward, so they do see Shadow down bottom. If they see this Tower Blade completely alone, they can set up a smoke play for him. But for the fights, yeah, they're going to be playing around that Primal Split pretty much exclusively, while on the side of Liquid, they're not really like these, like, waiting for a big ulti. They're just going to group up and play, maybe play around the meta sometimes, but I think Shadow's mostly just going to be jungling.
You see here as well that GH moves into position, but DJ was already there anticipating that movement from the Grimstroke, and MP has his level 6, finds himself the kill he wants. The Scythe is bigger than the paintbrush.
And now he's trickling back up. He's actually surpassed his Shadow Shaman in net worth now in the Necrophos. Every little thing matters.
Toss away, does not want that Centaur near him, and he's underneath the tower now. Kuro tries to stampede away, but it's not happening. Fnatic keep finding these kills, and it feels like Liquid are playing kind of lost over the past couple of minutes.
Yep. They're getting outmaneuvered quite heavily right now by Fnatic. The move making is a little bit hard, right? You have to be able to have successful ones with your Centaur and your Grimstroke, but they have to be together. That's the biggest thing. Is I've seen a lot of 1x1x1 just now by Liquid, and Fnatic, they're looking to go. He can dispel this surge. It's actually not going to catch. He was a little slow on that one.
Yeah, not quite in range, and they're going to try and dive here to see if they can get GH, but the TP move coming in from Kuro a little bit early on that avalanche. This Bruce Split's going to start wearing off pretty soon, and if they're not careful, you might get caught into a bad position, but it looks like walk away from Ice Ice Ice, and Liquid defend the top tier 1 tower.
Now there's no Bruce Split. Now Liquid can look to take a fight themselves.
They also did use those wards, so even split push is going to be a little bit more difficult. And their aim is towards this top tier 1 tower, where still the Brewmaster sits, but this Necrobook level 1, Kuro being that Guardian out front and center, and they're going to use the Glyph. Fnatic still thinking about taking this fight.
They're bringing Abed too to the defenses, so it's gonna, I mean, it'll slow down the farm of the Deuce a very little bit, but you see, she's having a great time. Abed is keeping it neck and neck with Shadow on the Terrorblade. Shadow is not looking to get involved in the comparison.
It is just that catch-up time that we were talking about for MP, and also the Shadow Shaman was able to get a wave there mid as well. So 7-6, less than 1,000 gold lead. We're just about that 13-minute mark in. I'm waiting to see where they go next. I mean, that's the thing, is that it's very clear timers for Fnatic when they want to try and make a go. Liquid, it's sort of around Metamorphosis, but not really, because he still wants to farm on Shadow.
Yeah, they don't really, they're like, it's around meta, but we want Manta, and we want Scotty, so we don't really want to fight around meta just yet. We want a little bit more time. And he also wants a BKB at some point in this game. It's just, yeah, it's hard. Like, playing into Brewmaster as TB, it's just like the rule is showing up to fights is way too difficult because you don't have your illusions. They're always going to be getting dispelled.
So Mind Control down here bottom. Just going to back away from MP.
So he'll be the pipe, and it will be Matu the Greaves that he tends to do quite a bit. That's the build that they usually do like to do. Doesn't want to go for that whole Necro 3. Maybe eventually, but the Necro 1 is just a really good farming tool that we see because of your beautiful bad juju.
Shadow just 1 second faster than average.
Just 1 second. 1 second could make the difference.
Oh, fastest, excuse me, that's different. That's a lot different than average. You're killing it, Shadow, sorry, man. 90 damage talent for that Darkseer. And it looks like Ice 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 going for the Hand of Midas. They're feeling like this is going to be the pace of the game for a little while here and want to try and ensure that late game.
It just seems like it's going to be a bit of a farm game because Liquid's playmaking is just not as easy to make as Fnatic's. If they have Stampede, they can run in, but you want a Blink Dagger, and it's a support Centaur. So somehow they're going to have to try to find Kuroki some farm so they have some real form of initiation, unless they want to just do some walk into fight, which I don't think they really want to do versus a Medusa Brewmaster draft. Yeah. They're going to get their abilities off if you're just walking in on them. You have to try to catch them from full to take out this Bruce Split.
You need that Stampede to make sure you get away in case things get too dicey.
Yeah.
So, again, Fnatic make the move up towards that top lane, maybe signaling why Liquid were just trying to hold off on all these towers. They're throwing bodies at them to keep them alive as wards will be dropped eventually. GH going to try and make sure he doesn't get caught and TP's out.
I feel like it has been the story of a lot of Liquid's games. I mean, of course, they're not playing with their full roster, but I have been seeing them just kind of delaying a lot of the times, either waiting for a crucial BKB timing in some games or just not wanting to take too many fights, just trying to play their own game rather than playing a reactionary game.
So Fnatic will secure themselves the top 2 bounty runes. Liquid/Wings get the bottom 2. And it's a smoke up now from the Centaur and the Dazzle. And they are down in the bottom side of the map. Kuro maybe just trying to place some deep wards.
Yep. Just try to keep tabs of the Dusa. You know she's going to farm Ancients a lot in this game, so always having a ward in the enemy, well, at least one of the enemy jungles is really important. MP he's positioned down here.
They'll try and take this fight. It's a smoke up now again from the Tiny and the Deuce, and MP walks forward, trying to sandwich them here as they come around from the other side. And now Liquid chasing forward. Kuro's there as well. Stampede onto MP. He's ghost shrouding, trying to live through all of this. And Fnatic just trying to spring the trap onto him in a second. They're trying to kill him off. They almost get it. They do. Jabs finds the kill onto Shadow. So clutch. They lose the Necro, but now they've found more here as well. With the Bruce Split chasing down Matumba Man and Mind Control lifted up into the air, they might end up losing just about all their cores here. Matumba Man already has the Grave, trying to get the walk away, the Vacuum interrupting things, but eventually they will take what they came for, and Mind Control also ran after, toss up into the air. This has been a complete and utter disaster for Liquid.
God. MP with the Jabait. He baited all of Liquid in there, and if you look at Liquid's draft, if they don't have their Grimstroke there, they don't have that much magic damage. It's only level 1 double edge and hoof stop, so he got the Ghost Shroud off. He ends up dying at the end of it because the Poison Touch, I think, finished him off when he walked through the wall. But their magic damage just is not there. They don't have it if he gets that Ghost Shroud off. A great bait play there by MP as their Dusa overtakes the board. And yeah, like you mentioned, all 3 cores of Liquid die.
10 kills now at the 17-minute mark. It's still only 1,000 gold lead in spite of that big kerfuffle down bottom. And they did manage to get that tier 2 tower. But it feels to me like the story is this looming thread of a Medusa that's getting more and more farm, topping the net worth right now.
Yeah, and it's, we were talking about, you know, they have the reflection as well as that wall that can be pretty damn good. But yeah, she's very farmed. Level 16, standing on top of a DD as well. Lovely.
DJ being chased down by these Necro books. Necrophos there to help out DJ, but with the Poison Touch and a little itty-bitty right clicks coming through.
Oh, they keep refreshing it.
Oh my god, he needs to get away. He's trying to get out of there. One more, he's going to exit. All right.
He's okay.
That was deadly.
Playing support versus like Necro books is very sad as bottom. Okay, GH.
Wow.
And Shadow able to set up for this kill. That's I mean, that's a lot of gold. Look at that experience too. And 780 each.
Immediately they head into the pit though. So Fnatic feeling like they can make this happen, and with the Medusa DD that you were talking about as well as these snakes dropped, Liquid just aren't in position right now.
No, and they don't have Blink Dagger on the Centaur. I mean, Kuroki's still trying to farm in the mid lane. Like we said, he's a 5-position Centaur. It will take time. And Shadow used meta bottom. So as soon as they saw that, they immediately went. And yeah, free Roche.
Now big right now. And it looks like Abed is going to be the one that picks this up. The ward's used. And now it's Fnatic's turn to try and control this map. And Shackles from the low ground, they've got him caught. Darkseer going to be hexed afterwards. The toss forward onto MP. He's thinking about using that Reaper Scythe, but doesn't commit it there. So it wouldn't have been able to get the kill.
So they do have... The Dusa has a pretty good game because their direct counters on the side of Liquid aren't really as strong in comparison. I would say Fnatic's Brewmaster and Necrophos are better versus like TB than, let's say, like Darkseer and Grimstroke or something like that. They do have the ways to counter the core hero in comparison.
You can see that Abed's second highest amount of last hits on any hero. This Medusa.
204 last hits at the 19-minute mark.
That's insane.
He stacked, he had like a triple stack, he stacked a double stack of his hard camp. He also was stacking the like medium camp that's right next to that mid lane over and over again too to be able to benefit from farming it.
Now taking Liquid's camps as well.
Yeah.
So the constant farm of Medusa just taking over this game here.
It's quite a threat. Do they have, I'm looking and I'm like, do they have the damage to deal with this Medusa if she continues at this rate? I don't really think so. Liquid's damage is not really going to scale that incredible. It's really going to be Shadow's damage, who's the only one that gets really, really strong. Everybody else's is kind of just, it is what it is. It's, you know, it's that static damage that we talk about.
I mean, do they have the damage to do with her right now? Sometimes we see these like 20-minute pushes coming from Medusa with Aegis that's just so difficult to stop, and already taking down this tier 2 tower fairly fast. Going to wait for that next creep wave and then just try and finish it off. Granted, the one nice thing here about Liquid is they have a ton of wave clear.
Yeah. Grimstroke.
Yeah.
Just Grimstroke allows you to pretty much push out everything.
And then on the other sides of it, Terrorblade pushing out those side lanes, just being a constant nuisance.
Yeah. It's going to have Scotty finished up, and then as we always know, the real big item is that BKB for you to actually join inside the fights. But it will be hard. I'm thinking if... Okay, Abed is going to be going for that Scotty next, and then it will be a butterfly. So the item progression is going to be a little bit faster from Abed, even though you still see Shadow up ahead in net worth a little bit.
Okay. We'll keep our eyes on that.
Yeah. And yeah, we see, of course, that heat map. Shadow's only playing in the neutral zone for the most part.
That's, yeah, committing so hard and taking down that tier 1 tower early.
Ooh.
The tier 2.
Eye control.
Aiden. Smoke up from 3 on the other side, over by the tier 2 tower in the mid lane, and Ice wants to chase down Cinderbrew onto Mind Control as the clap afterwards, get that further slow, and now the Shackles coming in, they want to chase forward. The rest of Liquid is showing up. He's very tanky with this pipe, healing back up, but he is going to end up in the grave. Now the turnaround, they pull it back together with the vacuum and the hook stuff. Fnatic absolutely destroyed, and Mind Control living through it all. They're actually buying back on this Tiny, but they didn't really want to go into this. Abed thinking about chasing forward. He has an Aegis still willing to chase forward and try and find this kill. Can he do it in time, Curl? Livin very, very low HP. The Cinderbrew now onto Shadow. He might start hitting himself as well. And oh my good God, Liquid baited that one out. Might be able to take this fight afterwards. Kuro is so freaking low. He's going to try and walk away. Shadow Metamorphosis. It's down. It's still going to be used. And can they kill them all off? The avalanche coming from Jabs. This fight keeps going to Sunder. Able to turn it again onto Abed. And now just trying to run away with that surge. They have the Stone Gates. And there's going to be the Reaper's Sight to follow. Somehow, some way, Fnatic, with buyback coming from Tiny, they make the difference.
Abed just strolls in. They can't deal with this Medusa. She's far too tanky, and she's not even level 20 just yet. She's about to be with that extra mana talent. Uh-oh, Liquid.
Oh my God.
That damage.
It's so ridiculous how strong this hero can get with, I mean, granted, she's very farmed, but nonetheless, it's still less than 1,000 gold difference. But it is Fnatic that are controlling this map and still hanging on to this Aegis for another minute.
Shadow's just desperately trying to get that timing that we're talking about to get the BKB, so he doesn't get Mystic Snake. That's honestly seems like one of the biggest things I've seen the problems for these Tower Blades versus Deuces lately. It's like you get hit by a Mystic Snake and you cannot Sunder in a lot of these team fights. He did get it off in that one, but yeah, playing into the Aegis is going to be pretty tough, even though it's going to be gone in about 30 seconds. But they've gained so much out of it. But the net worth is still even.
Yeah.
That's the one thing, is Liquid's still doing a good job of farming and keeping that there. Experience is about 5K for Fnatic, but
it looks like now with that Scotty coming out onto Dusa, it is going to be Aegis expiring, and they still have a couple more towers to claim in the bottom side of the map if they want. But the thing that I've been seeing more and more often, I feel like, is the Shadow Shaman becomes such a threat where you can just push out one of those side lanes and Liquid are going to have to respond. If they, you know, smoke up top and send a couple heroes there, it's always going to be a worry for Liquid.
Mm-hmm. And these Shadow Shamans are just, they're terrifying. Yeah, like the game earlier today, we were seeing it. It's just even this Shackles, just the distance that you get. If they use their disables, and let's say you get to a point of like a BKB on DJ, he can just shackle pretty much freely. And he probably will build toward that eventually.
Definitely.
So now the next race to the timing is pretty much going to be Abed on the Butterfly. That one is probably going to be the biggest one. Is if he's able to get it fast, Shadow's going to be really limited because he has to go for the BKB before he can go for MKB.
Level 20 Dusa with the whole team behind Abed. They have the bad juju. They create the illusion, the Hex to try and interrupt and turn it, but that means they can't take away the Medusa illusion. They're soul binded together. Abed, he has no mana at all. In trouble, trying to turn the Stampede to chase forward for more. A long duration stun there. Can he get anything off? He is going to end up throwing out that Reaper Sight, but still living through it. Oh, the lift up there to interrupt the Sunder. Can they kill him off in time? The taunt, they're almost finding it. They actually can the kill, and Terrorblade is going to go down. And now trying to chase forward for more. There's the lift up onto one, well, now the Shackles and the Avatos to follow it up as well. They can buy back on the TV if they want to, but the chase forward coming from Fnatic might be too strong. Mind Control Crave yet again, keeping him alive, waiting for the full duration off the hoof stomp. They are disabled for absolutely ever.
Oh my God.
They kill off Ice, and MP also possibly going to fall here as Matumba Man finds his prize for dead, and Fnatic, they're going to lose possibly one more here as well. They all die.
Oh, I can't wait to see this fight recap, actually. I want to see how much damage Matumba Man did during all this. Yeah, that's what I thought. I saw this, the Medusa was trying to run away from the reflection as well as the wall, which is a big thing that we would say could be a problem for her. And she had 4 poison stacks on her. Actually, 4 poison touches. So she was getting ticked down so heavily while trying to disengage from that. The Grimstroke comes in from the back too and cleans up. Liquid still showing that they can take these fights.
Yeah,
that
now
one was
they're in the
remarkable.
lead, 3,000 gold. Having that Aegis also be gone right before that engagement, you know, you feel strong with the Scotty, but doesn't work.
Yeah, Abed maybe playing a little bit too aggressively there, just being just a bit too far up. He lost like his whole mana pool before the fight started, it seemed. And then, yeah, those double illusions. As the stronger you get on Medusa, the stronger the wall as well as the reflection can be.
So a 4,000 gold lead. 25 minutes in, and, well, still waiting for that next Roche.
Yep. That was a wild fight. Matumba Man's going to get a lot out of that, too. Them having Greaves also making a bit of a difference. As we look on the other side, Fnatic, they don't have Greaves. So Dazzle in a lot of these team fights. That fight lasted well. It was like a minute or so. That means 2 Greave usages inside of the fight. That is the power of this bad juju. And when you're sitting in the back lines as a Dazzle, and you're just casting your spells nonstop, I don't even know how many minus armor stacks he had on everybody. but he's free casted in the entire duration of that because they focused everything on Shadow.
The multiple Graves, too. It's just like committing so heavily onto one. I will say that looked like it could have gone even worse for Fnatic, like getting that, lift up onto the Terrorblade to stop the Sunder and all those moments, but
they have to prioritize catching in the backlines, though. Yeah. I do think Ice has to throw this Dazzle in the air, and they're going to go for those focus fire targets on the Terrorblade in particular. It's going to get harder, too, now. As we mentioned, it's like the big key timing for Terrorblade is that BKB. Shadow has it finished, also getting close to his level 20 talent, which in this game, we already mentioned it, right? The Deuce, you can go the reflection cooldown this game. We've been seeing a lot of the stat ones, but in this game, definitely could see more Medusas.
Sentry Ward dropped down there. It would have been able to catch out the Liquid Ward had they had high ground vision, and instead it's Liquid. They're going to be able to take out that obs.
No one has a Vlad's on the side of Liquid, I realized. Someone's going to build it soon. Probably Kuroki, but
what are they doing? This is crazy talk.
They'll get one soon. I mean, they kind of get one when they use reflection anyway. If the Brew's if he's not in split, that's the thing. If he's in split, they don't get the Vlad's aura when he's using the reflection. But they're looking to take this fight before looking for the Roche. Shadow's just walking in.
They both have high ground vision right now, but Fnatic, they pop the BKB. Abed is there as well. They're on top of the shrine already. Soulbind onto one. They're going to use that brew split, and Abed still living, but he can't actually get into range to hit these heroes. Now Liquid maybe going a bit too far forward. So much damage coming from the right clicks. Jabs looks like he might end up going down, but they have the Reaper's Sight to take down Mind Control. They haven't been able to deal with the Dazzle, but that's just because he's lifted up in the air. And now Shadow fully isolated away from the rest of his team. The Hex is there. The Shackle onto the Dazzle, keeping him away from Shadow so he can't get off the Grave. But the Inkswell to try and turn it, and now they find the Grave onto him. Now the vacuum. There's the hoof stomp. Can they kill him off in time? It's so much damage out there, and they just need to disengage. The Surge away, trying to walk. Shadow is at too low HP, and now they've got him caught. The Shackles, they're trying to kill him off in time before he can get any type of a Sunder off. It's still on cooldown. They can't take that fight, and Liquid lose 4.
Oh, Liquid really tried to force that one there, but in that positioning, Ice with a new BKB, well, not new, but relatively new BKB, he's able to just get this Dazzle in the air constantly and look at Abed's damage.
It's 20,000, it's 10,000 more damage dealt from Fnatic, but Liquid are the ones that win the fight. That's insane.
What?
That's what it said on there. Am I crazy? On the fight recap, at
least.
They
did more damage, yeah, but Fnatic won the fight, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and then now they walk into Roche, and they've got Vlad's aura and Sustain with Necro.
I like that what, by the way. That was great.
I was like, what?
Oh, my God. All right, so Roche going to go down at Fnatic. Aegis in hands yet again.
The wall didn't catch on top of the Deuce there either. It was like, it was casted a little bit late, didn't actually clip. They need to be able to get on top of the Deuce right away. That's why it won Liquid the fight first time, is Abed was positioned really far up and got most of his mana taken away instantly. This time around, they initiate on the tanky guy. And look at that swing. The experience, too, in particular, it's just massive.
Such a huge swing into their favor. 10,000. Going to start getting towards those later talents. Fnatic 2,000 gold up, just within vision right here of the ward.
Liquid has to be really good about the way they start these fights, too. Like, we saw the vacuum hoof stomp, but that was at the end of the fight. The fight was pretty much over. While on the side of Fnatic, they have so much control. Shadow Shaman and Brewmaster just provide so much for you inside of these team fights. And the Brew just provides a nice blanket around Abed.
He did go for that reflection cooldown like you were talking about. This smoke was in full vision of the ward. And so Liquid are going to back out and play the other side of the map.
And Liquid has a lot of deep vision down. They're actually placing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the wards.
So how do you play now after that fight? Do you just need to try and avoid fights constantly as Liquid, try and get some split push going?
Next one is, I think they just need the MKB period, because Abed finished Butterfly after that. And Terrorblade's damage versus a Butterfly Dusa is just not there. And he needs to be doing as much as possible. So I think that's the biggest next timing. I think fighting into Aegis is still going to be extremely difficult. Maybe they can try to pick something off with all this advantageous vision that they have on the board right now, but I don't think Fnatic's going to give them that. They're going to kind of stick together. They may even look to threaten high ground and force heroes back just to not let Liquid try to get any of these pickoffs.
I mean, you have to respond to the Dusa at that point. She's pushing up on the high ground there. It does definitely feel like it's just been that battle of who has less mana, the Medusa or the Terrorblade, and Medusa keeps on coming out ahead. It's in that last one. So double catapult wave, 30 minutes in, they pop the glyph, and they drop the wards, and Liquid needing to find themselves some answers as the Lincolns was just completed onto the Dazzle.
there's a full BKB on the Shadow Shaman. As I was mentioning,
Oh.
if he BKB grabs somebody, they cannot actually remove it.
Only way would be to try and find kills. That's a wall. Drop down. But the Manta and the walk away.
Yep, they're just going to disengage, go back to farming. They forced everybody back. Free tower. And they still have their Brew Split, and they still got all their stuff ready. And of course, we'll see more auras being picked up by Ice. That AC will be the next one.
And oftentimes it's felt like it's been these sort of like very even games, and then you have that one big defining team fight that sort of sets the stage for the rest of the game. And I don't know if we found that yet, but it is that slight lead for Fnatic here. It still definitely feels like Liquid can take the fights if they just get them on their terms.
Yep, they have to get some big combos, and they have to be able to isolate this Dusa. It's going to be tough.
That vacuum AoE going towards the Crimson Guard next.
Mitigate a lot of that Deuce's farm, or Deuce's damage. However, there is still a Brewmaster in the game, so that Crimson Guard block, whenever he does get it, can still be dispelled.
Shadow Shaman smoked up there, and let's just gain down some wards, I believe, as the Deuce is going for the Daedalus.
Yeah, trying to get just more damage into their lineup. I mean, besides the Terrorblade, they're pretty squishy. Dazzle, I mean, Matama Man's kind of tanky because he has got these Guardian Greaves, but yeah, that's going to make it pretty hard for them to survive.
15 seconds until wall is back up from the Darkseer, as Abed wants to take down this melee barracks, but also Shadow down to about half HP.
Yeah, he sees that there's no butterfly being built, so he knows he can go for that straight damage on the Dusa too.
There's the hoof stomp, the jump in. It wasn't perfectly timed. Ice was able to get the BKB off Shadow, walking forward in the direction of his BKB. It's going to start the reflection now. Abed hitting his friends and almost finding the kill on a Matama Man. He does go down. No buyback. 70 seconds. Now they have a lift up onto that Centaur as well in the air. And Fnatic, they are in Liquid's base. And Abed still sitting tall and fine with this Aegis, but the rest of his teammates don't have it, and he's starting to hurt him pretty hard. Now the Hex, the follow-up coming. They have the Soulbind, but DJ walking forward, and he does find the Shackles, but they're still living through this for the moment. The Avalanche, the toss jabs trying to do, and they get the Reaper's Sight. There's the kill. No buyback for the Terrorblade, and Fnatic just going to walk tall through the entire base and start to take down these tier 3 towers.
Man, I'm loving these Shadow Shaman builds that we're seeing. This like Blink BKB build. How do you deal with it if he just grabs somebody? And now Fnatic, they've done it.
Well, I said it's just the one big defining fight, and apparently it was it right beforehand. But the Medusa proves to be too strong.
Yeah, I mean, the Liquid threw a lot of bodies to try to defend their tier 1s. They had some decent fights, right? That mid fight in particular when they were able to isolate that Dusa, but overall Fnatic, they have the heroes that worked well in countering the core hero of Liquid.
Well, you can see there Fnatic very happy with the win. And, you know, it was sort of a strange game where there were big team fights going one way and then the other. How much do you need to prioritize this Medusa? Like, we've been seeing sometimes go out in the first phase, it feels like.
The Dusa, but honestly, Ice for me with the Brewmaster in this game just did so much work. Abed farmed amazingly. They set him up for so much success, but the Brew just was like the space maker. He just runs in, either gets if he gets the lift on the Dazzle, the fights just seem a lot easier, like super easy for them. And this core matchup is just great. They have this Brew, this Dusa, and the Necrophos, and the Shadow Shaman even, which are okay versus Terrorblade, and then Liquid, it just seemed like they were lacking a little bit. They couldn't just only rely on Shadow to do the damage.
No. Well, very impressive showing from Fnatic. They're one game away from moving on in this tournament. Team Liquid need to come up with some answers fast.
Yep.
Obviously, a very adept team. I'm sure they're going to be able to come up with some stuff. But for now, going to head to a quick little break. Game 2, right back after this.